All my life, I've been my poppy's little yellow rose of Texas, but oddly enough, I started out as a sweet Georgia peach. Howdy, my name's Tierney Young, and as I mentioned before, I was born in Jonesboro, Georgia, which is a town right outside of Atlanta. But don't worry, I got here as fast as I could, and I call the Lone Star State my home. Today I want to share a little bit about myself, and I'll start by my childhood, and then I'll go into my life as a college student, and then where I see my future 10 years from now. So I'm from a small town Southern family. We live just northwest of Houston in a small town called Raywood, Texas. And if you don't know where that's at, it's okay because we're too small to even have a population sign. Like many other small town families I know, most of my family lives within like 10 miles of each other. So my immediate family, I include my mom, my sister Avery, who lives in Dayton, my grandparents, who I call me Mommy and Poppy, and that's who I live with, and my cousin Morgan, who's 10 years old, and she also lives with us. I have a large extended family, and they all, like I said, live within 10 miles of us. And also, being raised by my grandparents, some of the biggest memories I have from my childhood are riding in the back of my Poppy's pickup truck and getting to go feed the cows and just experiencing time on the land with him. That was one of my favorite memories as a child. And then another thing that I remember a lot from my childhood is I used to have all of my birthday parties at my lake house, and me and my friends used to pick blackberries and make blackberry cobbler and make mud pies and ride four-wheelers and things like that. And then with me Mommy raising me, she's always instilled in me that school is the most important thing in my life, and so that's always been my #1 priority. I started school in Devers, which is a town right next to us, but it's too small to have a high school, so in kindergarten I transferred to Liberty because my mom was working in Liberty, and she drove me back and forth to school. I've always been really involved in a lot of things. As a child, I was in softball and basketball, Little League, and I also attended dance lessons. And then in middle school, I tried out to be a cheerleader, and I was still in athletics, and I played the clarinet in the band. And then in high school, I quit athletics because two-a-days conflicted with my band two-a-days, and I saw music as being more important than sports. So I just focused really on band. And then I was also involved in a lot of other organizations, including student council, honor societies, Interact. And then my junior year, I tried out for the drill team, and that was fun. But I'd say my most memorable experience from high school was my senior year. I joined FFA, and I showed a heifer at all the local and county shows, and I also showed at the majors. And that was a really fun time for me, and I'd say the only regret that I have about that is not starting sooner. My senior year, I worked at State Farm, my insurance agent in home, and then I also took a lot of college hours, and then I graduated salutatorian of my class, even though it was really small. And then my life as a college student really began whenever I came to A&M. Even though I transferred in with 22 hours, I didn't really get the full college experience until I came up here. Being accepted to A&M was a really big dream come true, but I'd say my greatest accomplishment was getting into Mays Business School. That was exciting for me because I'm an accounting major, and the reason I chose this is because I've talked to a lot of other CPAs who really enjoy their job, and they say if you really love math, then just be an accountant. And I really do love math because it's black and white. There's no in between. It's either a yes or no answer. There's no ifs in there. Last semester, I became involved in several organizations, including Aggie Orientation Leader Program, and that's where we organize and plan all the new student conferences for the incoming students here at A&M. That's been a fun experience so far. I also got involved in Aggie Investment Club, which is an organization where I learned how to invest my money in alternate investments besides just the stock market. And then recently I was inducted into the Sophomore Honor Society, Lambda Sigma. My goals in college include applying to the PPA program, which I'll be doing next spring. The reason I want to do this is because I'll get my master's in 5 years instead of 6, and that'll qualify me to sit for the CPA exam. I also want to get the energy accounting certificate because my long-term goal is to work in the oil and gas industry, so I feel like that would be beneficial for my career goals. I also would like to study abroad in Spain if I have enough time to do that while I'm here. Next, I'm going to tell you about my long-term goals. I'd really like to live in Fort Worth or Houston after I graduate college, and my dream job would be to work as an accountant over a really large ranch. But if I don't get that job, I'd like to work in the oil and gas industry just because that's where the money is. I also want to travel with my job because I want to see the world. A lot of my personal goals are just like my grandparents because I really admire them and all the hard work they put into their life. So I'd like to own a house with a lot of land, and I'd like to invest my money in a lot of stock because that was beneficial for them. I'd also like to start a family. And then in conclusion, I just really appreciate the life that God has given me and the opportunities He's given me. And I just knew that growing up with a struggling mom, it just made me want to be even more successful in my life and start a new trend within our family. And I'm just really grateful and appreciative of my grandparents and all their selfless love and support and raising me in my life. Thank you.